Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Friday. As always, if you're watching, do pop a hello in the comments so I can say good morning to you as well, or good evening, or good day, or whatever, wherever you are. Welcome to Friday, end of May. Can you believe it? No. I don't know where this year's gone already. But good morning to everyone. Good morning, Jay. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to Friday. Welcome to Friday at the end of May. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning, Karen. On the way to Cornwall. Oh, totally jealous, Karen. One of my favourite places. You've picked a good week for it. The weather's supposed to be very good this week. Good morning, Debbie. Good morning, Sue. Happy Friday to you too. Good morning, Christine. Welcome, 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 everyone. How are we all? Hanging in there? This last 18 months or so? Feels like forever, doesn't it? But then on the other hand, it doesn't, because this year seems to have gone really quickly. But we do seem to have been in some bizarre holding pattern. We're getting there. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Summer. Good morning, Eva from sunny Switzerland. First day in over 6 weeks that rain isn't forecast. We had that yesterday, Eva. Yesterday was the first day we haven't had rain for weeks. Having had, I think, possibly the driest April ever. It didn't stop raining throughout May. Yesterday we had sunshine. So not so much sunshine today, but it is at least not raining. Good morning, Diane. Good morning, Sue. Sue says, brilliant today, feeling the energy of the day. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Oh, Jay says Cornwall is cold and damp at the moment. Yeah, but it's Cornwall, Jay, so it doesn't matter. It's still Cornwall. Good morning, Petronella. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Summer Louise. Raining here now in Wales. We have to just say that it's good for the garden, don't we, I think? Good morning, Melody. Sue says, it was a lovely day yesterday, perfect drying day. Yes, I got a load of washing out on the line yesterday, but I must admit, after work yesterday, we did sneak off down to the seaside. We had nice chips on the seafront yesterday, sitting in the sunshine. It was glorious. Good morning, Tess. Yeah, sometimes you have to just make the most of it. You might notice, you will notice, I'm sitting in a different position in the room today, balancing everything precariously by my herbs, plants, spices, whatever you want to call them. A quick promote while we're sitting here waiting for people to get comfy. Witchfest Midlands is on tomorrow and it's all online. So hop on over to the Witchfest Midlands Facebook page. There'll be links there to buy your tickets. Whole day of talks from various different fantastic people. The professor is there, among other people. I'm doing my talk lunchtime, I think 1 p.m-ish. So do have a look. Support Witchfest Midlands. Normally we would be doing it in person. This year it's online, like a lot of other things. Hopefully see some of you there. Good morning, Xenia. Sue says, I'm having a C-fix next week. C-fix. Yeah, I need them quite often. Jane says, someone's been busy with the squeezy Tipex. What do you like? Squeezy Tipex. That Tipex, that's quite old-fashioned, isn't it? Do they still do Tipex? I don't know. Xenia says, can't wait to see you and the lovely professor. Yeah, I think he's opening tomorrow. Yeah, he will be there along with lots of other people. Going to be a good day. And the following weekend, of course, first weekend of June, is the MoonCon event. My publisher Moon Books running a 2-day event, completely free. Talks from authors throughout both Saturday and Sunday, 5th and 6th of June, on the Moon Books Facebook page. There are links to it from my blog. There's links to it everywhere. everywhere you look on Facebook, there should be links to it. But Moonbook's Facebook page, 2 whole days of talks from various different authors. That's going to be fantastic. Karen loves Witchfest Midlands, usually go. Yep, I've been there for the last, I went there last year. It was fun. No, year before, losing track of time. It was fantastic. So let's, hopefully everyone's rocked up and got your cup of tea and your cake. Sue says, Squeezy Tipp-Ex is perfect for writing on charts. Okay, I'm with you now. I can remember the days of being in an office and using Tipp-Ex on the paperwork in your typewriter. Tess says, can't make MoonCon, wondering if any of the talks were up. Yes, for MoonCon next weekend on the Moonbooks Facebook page, all of the talks will be live, but they will be available for replay a few minutes after each talk from the Moonbooks Facebook page. And then a few days later, they will be all uploaded to the Moonbooks YouTube channel, so you won't miss out. Sue, Squeezy Tipp-Ex. These are all the chalkboard pens because the labels are black chalkboard. So it is, I'm not really cheap using Tipp-Ex. What do you like? It is a proper chalk pen thing. Christine used to go to Croydon Witchfest. It got so packed, got squashed at times. Yeah, always busy, isn't it? That's not on this year, but hopefully that will be on next year too. Definitely. Xenia, I was at Witchfest Midlands 2019 for the first time and also have seen your talk and met the lovely professor for the first time. It was Witchcraft into the Wild. Yes, it was indeed. Yes, that was here, stand on this enormous stage and here's a microphone. Little bit scary, I have to tell you. But enjoyable nonetheless. And it was lovely meeting lots of different people as well. So fab. Hopefully next year we'll be back at it. So yes, today I am sitting beside my herbs. Funny, isn't it? We call them magical herbs, but actually it's quite an array of herbs, plants, flowers, tree leaves and bark and seeds, food ingredients, all sorts of stuff. But magical herbs seems to encompass the whole lot, doesn't it? Jane said, I used to work in an office. We could make paper 10 times thicker with Tipp-Ex. Yeah, bizarre stuff. I'm assuming you can still get it somewhere. People still have typewriters. I'd love an old-fashioned typewriter, actually. That would be fab. Yeah, worked in an office for a very long time. Anyway, magical herbs. Yes, it covers kind of everything. I've had quite a few people in the last few weeks ask me about magical herbs and my magical herbs. What do I use? I must have lots. How do I collect them? What do I do with them? And all those sorts of questions. So if you've got any questions about magical herbs, pop them in the comments and we will deal with them. I will go through a few of my favorites and show you what I've got here. It's a temporary storage situation at the moment. We are eventually going to have some house renovations, waiting on lots of other people, basically. When we do, this whole room will have to be storage. So it's a temporary rack at the minute, but it is fairly organised. Never used to be. Never used to be. Jane says, I yearn to go back to Witchfest at Croydon. Hopefully next year. This year it was down to the actual venue that had a bit of an issue. So hopefully Witchfest will be back next year. Christine says, my son gets angry as I let the date run out. So I have to explain to him that the small M on the bottom of the label is for magical purposes. Yes, if you've got any ingredients, any herbs, any dried herbs, any spices, anything, flour, rice, and it goes out of date, use it for magical purpose. Don't throw it away. Use it for magical purpose. Good morning, Maria. Karen, I've got lots of hawthorns. What can I use the haws for? Okay, hawthorn is a good one. You can also dry the leaves of hawthorn too. I am going to, look it up because, it's not all in my head, Very, very good one to use at this time of the year, hawthorn. The leaves make quite a nice tea. But hawthorn, here we go. Hawthorn is happiness, fertility, love, protection, purification, forgiveness, fairies, and hope. So it is a real fairy tree, the hawthorn, and obviously it's very much connected to Beltane, May Day. Circlets were always made of hawthorn. It was when the flowers are in bloom. Although bear in mind that the calendar changed, Gregorian, Julian calendar, difference of about 2 weeks. So the hawthorn's not always out, and this year's weather's been mad. So traditionally, hawthorn was out on May Day. You can dry the hawthorn berries, thread them onto cotton or thread, make a protective amulet to hang above your thresholds, sprinkle the berries around your boundaries of your home to bring in protection. It is a real good protection one, I think. Add the hawthorn berries to a floor wash, and that will bring about purification for your house as well. Add to workings to where you need forgiveness. But protection, I think, is probably the most one. Warding against evil. The white flowers and the berries both have real big fertility magic to them, and not just, pitter patter of tiny feet fertility. Fertility of all things, new beginnings, new projects, new jobs, anything that you want to start planning, really. Watch out for the thorns, though. Hawthorn thorns can be used in magic as well. But there you go. Happiness, fertility, love, protection, purification, forgiveness, fairies, and hope. It's a fire element one as well. So very much, that's my phone buzzing. It's very much to do with Beltane this time of the year, definitely. It's all, yes, everything's all the comments have shot up in the air. So, yeah, someone says fertility spells, definitely. Hawthorn's very good for that. Good morning, Jackie. Sue has a hawthorn staff. Fantastic. Oh. Jane says, good morning, Leslie. Jane says, all the hedgerows contain hawthorn around here. We had a pub called the Haw Bush, but like most of our pubs, it's history now. Hawthorn pollen does me up like a kipper. Yeah, it's that time of the year, isn't it? Yeah, I'm full of it today. Xenia recently bought a Hawthorne tincture as I didn't collect the flowers and want to take it for my heart blood pressure. Hawthorn is generally good for protection and heart issues. I would have to put the disclaimer here that if you ingest any herbal remedies, tinctures, whatever, please seek medical advice beforehand, professional advice beforehand, because everything that we take can have adverse effects with things. But yes, hawthorn, generally protection is the one I would go for, and fertility. But it's definitely very much connected to Beltane and the energy of that. Summer Louise says hawthorn is used for medicine and heart. Christine says, my hawthorn tree is called a cockspur one, and the thorns are about 1 inch long. We've made hawthorn jelly, and also someone made a ketchup from hawthorn berries. Yes, I've seen that recipe too. The thorns, collect the thorns. They're really, really good for protection spells. We like playing and messing about with thorns. I've got some here, actually, somewhere. Thorns, rose thorns I've got there. So yeah, hawthorn's very good. I have got them fairly organised. They never used to be organised. I will put my hands up to it. When I started, Jane says just about done with fertility at my age. Bear in mind, Jane, that fertility isn't just babies. Fertility, it could be fur babies, obviously. But fertility magic is also about new projects, new beginnings, new way of thinking, new way of living, anything that you want to birth, an idea, a project, a venture, that's all tied up in the fertility energy. And this time of the year is brilliant for putting that into action. But yeah, I'm with you on that, Jane. We don't need any more babies. Definitely no more babies. But from the herbs, when I first started, I didn't have very much. I had a couple of bits and pieces, that was it. But I do love gardening, so I started collecting everything that I grew in the garden. And I don't grow things specifically in the garden for magic. On the odd occasion I might, but generally we grow things in our garden because they work. We've got quite heavy soil, clay soil, so it has to work with that, and because it looks nice and it works with the structure of it, and because we love the plant. But every single plant has magical properties to it. So I collect the petals, I collect the flower heads, I collect the leaves, I collect the thorns, I collect the seed heads, not all of them, leave a lot for the birds, and some for sort of particularly things like the Aquilegia, which is the garden is full of at the moment. I let them go to seed, and I only collect a few of the seed heads because it propagates by self-seeding. But I collect all of the bits and pieces from all of the plants. So I have got some things here that might not necessarily be in any of the books or on any of the traditional things. Like I've got some Naughtier here somewhere, which you won't really find in books. But I grow it in the garden, and I've connected with the plant. So I save the seed heads, I save the flower heads, and work with them how I think they should be worked. Because if you connect with the spirit of each plant, it will tell you what it can help you with. And I think it's quite important to connect with the spirit of the plant before you collect anything from it. I think it's only polite to ask if you can collect its leaves or its petals or whatever you're collecting. But connecting with that spirit will also help you find out what magic the plant can help you with. There are lists in books and on the internet. There are traditional kind of uses for things. We're probably all familiar with mint and basil being for money, cinnamon being for success, roses being for love. There are traditional uses, but each plant will be different, and each plant will have its own characteristic, and what works for someone might not work for someone else. So I think it's really important to make that connection with the individual plant or the individual ingredient and find out what it can do for you. So trust your intuition on these things. If you have got some hawthorn bits and bobs, hold them, connect with them, and ask them what they can do for you. Let your intuition guide you to what you need to do with them. That's how I've worked with most of my magic. Christine says Hawthorne jelly babies. Excellent. Chamomile and borage are taking over the garden right now. Yes, chamomile and borage are both quite on the thuggish side of things. Both very, very nice plants though, and both very useful. The bees like the borage too. Is the jelly sweet? That's hawthorn jelly. Yes, it is quite sweet, isn't it? Hawthorn jelly. Nice. Borage is a good one. Yes, borage is beautiful, Maria. Elizabeth, is that a Stargate t-shirt? Yes, it is. Yes, Stargate t-shirt. It is my Tilk, indeed. Stargate t-shirt. Yeah, love a bit of Stargate. Stargate Atlantis is my favourite, if I'm completely honest. I have got a Stargate Atlantis t-shirt too. Christine says it takes a long time as the seeds need to be taken out first, a long process. Or hawthorn jelly. Yeah, see, I don't make that kind of thing because that's far too much time, effort, and patience. So gold star for actually being patient enough to make it. Jane says bruised borage leaves are great in a fizzy punch. Makes everyone forget any beefs they had with each other, and the flowers look lovely floating on the top. Yes, borage flowers are edible. They are very pretty and they are very edible as well. Beautiful, beautiful colour as well. Yeah, here we go. Star-shaped as well, of course, the borage flower. Very good for psychic abilities if you make borage tea. Psychic powers, courage, protection, happiness, and peace. Borage, so very, very useful. Roman soldiers would eat borage, and medieval knights had the flower embroidered on scarves to bring them courage in battle. Pliny claimed that borage makes you happy, and who are we to argue? So it brings happiness and uplifts the spirits. Keep borage flowers on the table when you do any kind of divination to help with the reading. Very, very pretty flower, but it does self-seed everywhere. Yes, Rachel said the bees love borage. They do. You can't blame them because the flowers are really pretty. But yes, when I started many, many moons ago, I didn't have a lot of stuff, and it was quite difficult to get hold of stuff, actually. So I think that's probably where my kitchen witchiness started, because I would use things from the garden and I would use things from the kitchen cupboard. Although I have my magical stuff up here, I quite often run to the kitchen to get something. In fact, there's a pot of black peppercorns here that I nicked from the kitchen last week, but I'm not taking back down again. So black peppercorns and any of the food ingredients I use for magical purpose. And I say, if any of them go out of date, just move them to your magical cupboard. Anything that's flour, rice, the whole lot, flour and things like that are really good for soaking up negative energy. So they're really good to use in witch jars. But I've got a few favourites here, but do throw questions out if you want to. Or you just listen to me waffle on about, absolute waffle. But I've got some favourites. I must admit, my go-to, probably the one that I use most often, would probably be cinnamon. But not cinnamon, if that makes sense. I'm looking for it. There it is. Okay, so cinnamon bark. And that I use quite often in quite a lot of spells. But I've got two different types here. So I've got what you would recognise as the normal cinnamon. That's what you'd have at Christmas or in your hot milk, cinnamon sticks. Xenia says, I have all my herbs and spices outdated for magical uses. I don't like cooking. Well, as long as they're used, that's fine. Maria says, are there any herbs to keep cats away from the bedroom door? I don't know, Maria. I'll have to look at that. I don't know if anybody else has got any suggestions for that. Cats that herbs don't like. Is it orange that cats don't like? The smell of orange? I think it might be. I'm thinking about keeping cats out of the garden because that's what I'm more used to. So I think orange is one of the smells they don't like, and garlic, but you probably won't want garlic hanging on your bedroom door. I'm sure it is orange. It's the citrusy scent, I think. But this is a cinnamon that you're probably familiar with. These are huge pieces. I am very, very lucky to have an Asian supermarket within walking distance of me. They do enormous bags of herbs and spices at very decent prices. And these are enormous cinnamon sticks. I tend to use these more in baking and in making curries. For magic, I tend to use this stuff, which is bark from, I'm going to say it wrong, aren't I? Cassia tree. It is a different type of cinnamon. This is actually the cinnamon. It's much harder. It is more like bark. It's the cinnamon that they tend to use in Indian cooking. I tend to use this more for magical working. It doesn't crumble like the other cinnamon. You can write sigils and symbols on it, and it burns very well. So if you've got an Asian supermarket near you, I would highly recommend seeking it out. But cinnamon bark is probably one of my favourite go-tos. I use it for success more than anything, probably. It's also got a bit of a boost to it because it's a fiery one. So you can drop it into any spell working to give something a bit of a kick, to help it move along, to boost the power to it. Here we go, cinnamon. Yep, tie a bundle, hang them over your hallway. I have got a bundle of cinnamon above my front door. It brings about protection, but it also brings love and success to your household. Pinch of powdered cinnamon adds a boost to any spell. Incense brings there is me losing my train of thought, reading the line, cinnamon as incense brings focus and concentration. Perhaps I need some of that right now. I think cinnamon also has that deep spiritual connection as well, and it works really, really well for connecting with the divine, but also to help boost your psychic powers, your psychic abilities as well. It is really, really good all-rounder, really. Success, healing, power, psychic powers, protection, love, focus, lust, spirituality, and it also helps when you're working with changes. So bring in a bit of cinnamon if you are working with changes, because it really helps it all go smoothly and quickly. It's ruled by the sun and it's element of fire. So it's a real kind of hurrah kind of herb spice to use. One of my favorites. Maria loves the smell of cinnamon. Yes, it's one of my favorite flavors and one of my favorite scents as well. Yes, Eva says citrus in general, in theory. Yes, I believe it is citrus that the cats don't like. Christine says cats don't like curry plants, but I also use vinegar as they hate the smell. Christine says cats hate chili too. Okay, you just put these things, don't you, to make me say them. Jane tried spraying fart gas in the house. I'm not even going to ask where you got it from, Jane, or why you had it in the first place, to stop a neighbour's Asbo cat coming in and peeing. He loves it. Oh, that backfired then. Xenia says that is really enormous cinnamon sticks. Yes, and the pieces of bark from the cassia tree are enormous too. You break them up for use in magical working, but those are all from the Asian supermarket. Much cheaper and much bigger than buying a little tiny pot in the supermarket. So if you can look out for an Asian supermarket, they are brilliant for magical supplies. Maria says it would be better than the mold that is happening on the wall outside my bedroom, but that doesn't seem to bother them. Oh, that's not fun. Yes, Maria says I better start sniffing at her head. It does smell lovely. Cinnamon is one of my faves. Also very nice in chai tea. Rosemary is also good for memory. It is. Good morning, Carol. Christine says you can always tell when I have tried to keep the cats off the garden. It smells like a pickle factory. I've not tried vinegar. I must admit we have one of those sonic things at the moment because it did keep pooing in our flower beds. But, you know, cats do what cats do. That is the nature of the beast, as they say. So if I had to pick a handful of favourites, then cinnamon would be in there. It is one of my go-tos. Jane says the gas came from a joke shop online. Smells more like caramelised onions. I don't think I even want to go there, Jane. Yeah, let's not. What else have we got? Oh, poppy. Poppy is another favourite that I use. I have got poppies. I have got quite a lot of here because we do have quite a lot of poppies in the garden. We bought one orange poppy many years ago, and it self-seeds everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So I've got quite a lot of poppy seed heads. So a lot of this stuff does come from my garden, as I say. I have got, well, you can see I've got some packets here. So I've got hops. I've got a magical herb blend for the elemental moon, and I've got some Ostara herbs here. These are from the wonderful Freya's Cauldron. I belong to their monthly subscription service, and you get a box each month full of wonderful things. And there's always a couple of herbs in there. So that, as you can see here, some oils as well. They just haven't been put away yet. Quite a lot of these, particularly the blends, I've got them for all the sabbats there as well, are from Freya's Cauldron. They are lovely. But these ones, poppies, all came from my garden. These little tiny teeny ones are all the orange poppies that we've got in the garden. But I've got some bigger ones here from the more oriental type poppies. These are just the seed heads. I do sprinkle the seeds around or save them if I need them for the garden. But in the bottom of here are lots and lots. You probably can't see there at all. It's lots of seeds, lots and lots of seeds. But I use the heads mostly in spell working. I just pop a poppy seed head in. But they're brilliant, and I use them generally for money and prosperity spells. You can see by the amount of seeds that have come out of them how tiny the seeds are and how many there are from just one poppy seed head. Makes them very, very much all about money and wealth and prosperity. So they're really good to pop into any kind of magical working, witch bottles, spell pouches. The poppy seeds can be used to dress candles as well. But poppies tend to be my go-to for prosperity. That's what I use them for. But let's read the stuff. Get to the P's. P for poppy. Obviously, they're very good for sleep as well. If you think of the Wizard of Oz film, it's all the fields of poppies that made them fall asleep. Also love, very good for love. Love, sleep, money, luck. Another one for fertility. It's all the tiny seeds. Very good as well for rebirth. And the poppy is a symbol of grief. So really good for working through grief as well. Apparently, sprinkling poppy seeds around your property will confuse any negative or evil spirits as well as vampires. The idea being that they will be compelled to stop and count the poppy seeds, thus deterring them from entering your property. I'm pretty sure that the vampires are far too intelligent to be swayed by having to stop and count poppy seeds. But, you know, that's folklore. I think adding a pinch of poppy seeds or the petals to your bath water can help you if you are trying to overcome grief as well. I think it's very, very good for that. But for me, I add it to most of my prosperity or money spells. I think it's really good for that. Debbie has 4 cats and another interloper cat. Thought cats are meant to be territorial, but they just sit there and let him in. No. Jane says poppy seeds stay viable for up to 80 years. So you've only got to disturb the soil and let the sunlight hit to get another crop. Yeah, they do. They're very, very fertile. There you go. In the garden, definitely. Maria, do you use them in cooking? I don't use the ones from my garden in cooking. I'm never very sure whether I think the poppy seeds you actually buy and use in cooking are a specific variety. I do buy the poppy seeds from the Asian supermarket to put in lemon and poppy seed cake for sure. Christine says, loving the words at the bottom, it's saying puppies, so you have lots of puppies in your garden. We have one puppy in the garden. Eva, Count Dracula has a new meaning. Yes. Oh, good old Sesame Street. The Count. Yeah. Stopping to count his poppy seeds. Yeah. Xenia, Count from Sesame Street, counting your poppies. 7 poppy seeds. That was a very bad impersonation of the Count. Misspent youth, eh? Tess says, similar to folklore, which says that if you spill salt in front of a fairy, whatever their level, they have to stop and count the salt grains. It's funny, isn't it? I've actually found that quite a lot when looking up folklore. Anything that has lots of tiny seeds is quite often linked to some kind of folklore that says vampires, evil spirits, fairies will stop and count the grains. Who knows where folklore comes from, but you know, that happens. I've seen that quite a lot with various different ingredients. But yes, poppies, another one of my go-to. Oh, there's another one there. Let's take that one out. Another one is, I think someone mentioned them here for cats, is chilies. I use these an awful lot. If your spell needs a kick up the butt, if you want your spell to happen quickly, if your spell needs a bit of a boost, then chilies are the way to go. I have lots of, I'm going to be very careful because I don't want to touch them. I've got some chili seeds here, which I ground. I've got a little coffee grinder that I use purely for magical seeds and magical herbs and seeds that I use to grind up things. So they are chilies ground up in the coffee grinder. But I also keep some whole. And I've got some funky round ones here. These were from the Asian supermarket. Again, the ones that I grow in my greenhouse go to be eaten. So I have got quite a lot of chilies that we've grown in the greenhouse. I do freeze them because there's always more chilies than you need. And I do freeze them. So the ones I grow myself, I eat. But these ones are from the Asian supermarket. Again, they are brilliant to just pop into any kind of magical working that needs a bit of a boost. They are obviously another hot and fiery. It's quite strange that all the ones I like are hot and fiery. I think there must be something to that. Something in there, definitely. Looking for chilies. Can't find it. They're in this. Oh, that's because they're in the food one. Come on, pay attention. I haven't had any coffee today. I need some, obviously. So chilies. And obviously they come in all sorts of varieties. Yes, pinch of chili powder in any magical working or chili seeds will give it that energy boost. The hotter the chili power, the bigger the magical oomph it carries. So you want that old Scoville scale. And it's also creative because it carries the energy of fire. So if you want a creativity boost, then chili is the one to use. Chili powder, brilliant for protection, particularly if you make it into a kind of hot foot powder. Black pepper, salt, chili, paprika, any of that. Mix it together, sprinkle it around your boundary, and it'll work really well to ward off evil and also to protect it. Pop a dried chili underneath your pillow to spice up your love life, or enjoy a spicy meal together. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Can hear my husband running around the kitchen now trying to find a big bag of chilies. Chili works really well in any hex breaking spells as well. It's got that magical oomph. It's got that power that will help break the hex for you. Ruled by Mars, so they carry that real fighting warrior energy within them as well. So creativity, energy, power, protection, passion, and hex breaking. Fire and Mars, so a real energy boost for that one. Xenia says, interesting that evil spirits in folklore are considered as so stupid they have to count stuff and can't do anything about it. Yeah, I've seen it quite a lot in folklore with various different things. Jane, always thought salt was a protective barrier. Now I know we can protect ourselves by befuddling everyone else. Yeah. Jane also says, Asian supermarkets are great. They have a massive selection of herbs and spices, well worth a browse and much cheaper too. Yes. You'll also get big bags, lovely big bags of flour for making chapatis and naan breads and things as well. But they're really, really good for all kinds of dried herbs, dried spices. Usually they have a fresh vegetable section as well, and you'll find all kinds of weird and wonderful stuff in there too. Definitely well worth a visit if you have one near you. Carol says, what would be a good spell for during my fertility treatment? I've always done fertility spells when we were trying, but this is a bit different as actual treatment. I think that would apply the same, Carol. Anything that's going to boost the fertility. We said about fertility earlier, poppy seeds, really, really good for fertility. Let's have a look, see what else we've got for fertility. Lots and lots of things for fertility. As for the actual spell, I would work with your own intuition on this one. Spend a little quiet moment and ask what it is that you need to do. But fertility, lots of things that you've probably got. Catnip, daffodils, really good. I've got some somewhere, she says. There are some somewhere. If your daffodils, when the flower starts to fade, just pick the flower off and it's already dried and you can store it and use it for magic. But yes, let's have a look. Catnip, chickweed, cornflower. That's the flower cornflower, not the flower, not cornstarch. Cyclamen, daffodil, dock, fennel seeds. Got loads of those too. Work with them quite a lot. Yeah, there's a big tub of those. Fennel seeds, really, really good for fertility. Geranium, hawthorn, hazel, horsetail, mistletoe, mustard seeds, really, really good for fertility. Oak, that would be oak leaves or the acorns. Parsley, pine needles, really, really good. Poppy, sunflower seeds, and walnut, all really, really good for fertility. But I would sit quietly and meditate and find out what it is you actually need to work, what type of spell you need to work for that fertility. It might be that you need to make a little spell pouch to carry with you. It might be that you need to do a candle spell. Spend some time, as it's quite a personal thing, and ask what it is that you need to work with to do it. Carol, but fingers crossed for you. Good morning, John. I call spring Ellen time. That's interesting because I always associate Ellen with the autumn, but you know, each to their own. As the Cambrica poppies, the honesty, aquilegia, forget-me-nots, and red campion grow where they like totally wild. Don't start real gardening until they've gone to seed. My garden is full of self-seeded aquilegia, and I've seen lots and lots of forget-me-nots in all the gardens locally, and red campion we've got in our garden as well that found its way there. So yeah, wildflowers are beautiful. Sue says, do ferns have any magical properties? Now have some in the garden and fern in the house has produced seeds. I don't know if I've got fern, Sue. Anything that you haven't got written down or that you can't find written down, you'll have to work out yourself. And actually, I think it's a very, very good way of doing it. I think, oh, I have got it. See, I don't remember. I wrote this a long time ago. Anything that you have got that you can't find a meaning to, or if you look up the meaning in a book and it doesn't feel quite right, connect with the plant. Make that connection with the plant and it will tell you what it can be worked for. But fern is a gateway to the other worlds, using incense blends to connect with spirit, the underworld, or the world of fairy. Having ferns in the house brings protection and love. Carrying the seeds is said to make you invisible. So we'd like you to report back on that, Sue. If you carry some of the seeds and no one can see you, let us know. It won't actually give you superpowers, but it can be used in magical workings to help people not see you or not take notice of you if you don't want to be. So spirit work, underworld, fairy, protection, love, and invisibility. It is ruled by Mercury and it is element of air. So yeah, fern, interesting. I've not worked with fern. I have got one in the garden. I am going to have a look at that now, Sue. Thank you for that. Xenia says maybe placing confusing stuff like lots of tiny seeds or entangled ribbons just distracts nosy entities in the non-ordinary realm, and maybe that's how it works. Yeah, there must be something to it, Xenia, mustn't there? Jane says, be careful with daffodil flowers. They can be used in spells for disenchantment in conjunction with camphor oil. I must admit, I use them for fertility and new beginnings. Anything that I need to put into action. Anything that's a new kind of thing. Daffodils. You can carry daffodil with you for all matters connected with the heart. Keep them in the bedroom to increase fertility. So maybe you have to make a little pouch of spell pouch for fertility. Keep it under your bed for fertility. Daffodil brings with it the magic of rebirth. Having daffodils growing in your garden brings protection to your house and also to clear out negative energies. They are also good to use in workings to remove negative spells. Having daffodils in the house brings luck, love, and blessings to your home. So daffodil, very useful. John, I grow 2 different sorts of fennel. They both have seeds. Are they both okay to use? Magically, yes, absolutely. It's a bit like there's all types of different marigolds. The marigolds that we buy in the garden centre for our bedding are different to the proper marigolds, the calendula. That's used for salves and balms and tinctures and things. If you are ingesting it, make sure that you've got the right one. If you are putting it into a tincture or an oil to put on your skin, make sure you've got the right one. If you're using it magically, then it can be any of them. A bit like St. John's wort. The actual St. John's wort that's used in antidepressant tinctures and tablets and things is a specific type of hypericum. If you're using it magically, you can use any of the hypericum family. So for magic, yes, use them. You can use any of the different types of species. Jane says, ferns are so old they could help us connect with their ancestors. Absolutely. They were around the sort of dinosaur age, aren't they? So absolutely, Jane, brilliant idea. Denise, on the containers that I store my herbs, I put on what they connect with me for in my spell working. Absolutely brilliant idea. It is a very, very good idea, Denise. And then you don't have to look them up. I think I've got too many really to do that. What else do I use? So I've got some thorns here. The roses are coming into their own in the garden at the moment. They are absolutely brilliant this year. But I've got some thorns here, which I should be very careful holding, from the rose. Looks a bit like a shark tooth, doesn't it? So I use rose thorns quite a lot in magical workings. They are really good for protection. They're really good for breaking hexes. They are also really good for inscribing things. So if you are working with some candle magic and you want to draw a symbol or a sigil into the candle, I use the rose thorn to bring in that extra power as well. I find them really, really useful, particularly for protection and particularly for breaking anything. Breaking, not hexes and curses, because the actual happening of them is quite rare. But for breaking bad habits, for breaking cycles, for, you get yourself into those negative patterns, thorns are really good for breaking those patterns or those circles. Christine, I love ferns. I have lots of ferns. I have lots of them in my garden. Never thought of using them for magic. No, I must admit, it's not one because I think because it's quite difficult to, I don't really want to pick the leaf and dry it. But yes, never thought of using them for magic. But the more you say, I think my garden is for the fairies. Either that or I'm away with the fairies. Yeah, you and me both, Christine. Feels like it sometimes, although I think actually being away with the fairies would be far more scary than people think it would be. But there you go. Jane says, thorns in witch bottles. Yes, I quite often drop a thorn into my witch bottles to bring about protection. Very useful for that. So what else? See, I've got lots of things that you would probably find in your kitchen cupboards. I have got cardamom here, and I use cardamom quite a lot. Cardamom seed. Oh, that smells lovely. Smells like curry. I use cardamom seeds quite a lot in magical workings. They're really, really useful. Let's get them up from the foodie book. I think we underestimate the stuff in our kitchen cupboards quite a lot. Anything. I've just flicked through here. Baking powder. Have you used baking powder in your magical spells? Really, really good for adding energy. What does baking powder do? It makes things rise. It lifts things up. So baking powder is really good for lifting your spirits or lifting your energy. Anything. Flour. I use flour in my witch jars all the time, and rice and pasta, all for soaking up negative energy. So don't discount any of the stuff. Lentils, anything that you've got in your kitchen cupboard. Your tin of baked beans will have magic to it. But cardamom I use quite a lot in passion and love type situations, but also for producing clarity. It's got that real strong, pungent scent. So that really helps find clarity. It helps clear the air. It's very uplifting, but it helps just kind of refresh and make you see things from a different perspective. So cardamom is really, really good for that. It's also warming. So it's got that kind of comfort to it. Very, very good for love spells too, cardamom. Love spells is a whole other issue to talk about. Maria, I love using them. My son moans about them though. What cardamom seeds? Yeah, you have to remember to take them out of your food. Jane says, anything that makes fizz can only be good. Yeah, anything. Oh, we've got elderflowers will be coming up soon, won't they? That's very, very useful. What else we've got here? Garlic, which I showed you the other week when I was talking about garlic. I use garlic a lot in cooking, but I eat the cloves and I save the outer papery shells. And it's that I use in any magical spells that require garlic. Because rather than throwing it away, it makes sense to me to eat the garlic clove and use the paper outside for workings. Aside from that, but using garlic cloves in magical workings can get a little bit icky. Garlic, obviously, protection, dispelling negativity, all sorts of different things. Xenia loves cardamom too. Sometimes cardamom in coffee is lovely. But chai latte is one of my favorite drinks, and that's got cardamom in it, which is very scrummy. That's got all sorts of nice things in it. My favorite drink. Garlic is healing. Oh, yes, because garlic has very great healing properties as well. So healing, protection, hex breaking, negative energies, strength, courage, and antidepressant. So garlic's really, really good for uplifting as well. Really good for clearing out all of that, miserable stuff. But as I say, work with the paper outside, and then you don't waste the actual garlic cloves. What else have we got? Eggshells. I have eggshells here, up here. Trying to get them out without showering myself with eggshells. The drawers aren't supposed to come out. No, it's not going to come out. Eggshells. Let's have a look at eggshells. You know what an eggshell looks like. I saved quite a lot of my eggshells. A lot of them go in the garden, but I saved some for magic as well. Egg, obviously, is all about fertility again. Bit of a theme today, isn't there? But the egg actually is a symbol of life, really, isn't it? It's a symbol of life itself. So it's a neat package, really. Fertility, new life, new beginnings, and creation. They've been considered as sacred for, centuries. Obviously, at Ostara, Easter, we get the chocolate ones, which is, but let's have a look. Oh, there's all sorts of folklore about eggs. And of course, you can use them for divination too. Break the egg and read the white. You can also drop an egg in for boiling and read the cracks on the shell, if it cracks. It's called umancy, where you read the egg white by dripping the egg white into a bowl of water and reading the shapes that it makes. Quite yucky, really. There's lots. And of course, the egg's got all of the elements in one. So the shell is earth, the inside, the inner membrane is air, the yolk is fire, and the white is water. So your egg brings all four elements into being. But I saved the eggshell for magic for fertility, creation, life in general, new beginnings, divination. It's the cycle of life, which came first, chicken or the egg. The egg, apparently, because dinosaurs had eggs before chickens. So just in case you wanted to know. So I think eggshells are really good for that. And of course, cascarilla is made from eggshells. It's a bit of a hoodoo thing. You crush the eggshells into a powder, and it can be used for protection, but it can also be used for peace. It's dusted on the body to protect against spirit possession, but also acts as a shield against psychic attack or magical attack. Can be sprinkled around your home as well to create a peaceful environment and to protect from intruders. And ground eggshell, really ground into a fine powder, is quite good for drawing sigils and seagulls as well when you're in ritual. So eggshells, really, really useful to use. Denise says, do you dry the eggshells in the oven? No, I just leave them out for a day or so to dry, just, on a piece of kitchen towel, and then I put them in a pot. So no, I'm all for anything that's hassle-free. Xenia says, garlic is a great all-rounder. It is very, very useful. Jane, I've wasted a lot of magical ingredients by putting them in the compost. Could I use some nice sieved compost for magic? Interesting. Well, the compost will, the magic from the individual ingredients will have kind of dispersed as it's broken down into the compost. But compost has the same magical properties as soil, as earth. So that can be used in magic for its own purpose. Soil is grounding, isn't it? It's everything to do with earth. So it's grounding, it's manifesting, it's material things. So you haven't wasted the magical ingredients because compost is good. definitely good to have compost as well as magical ingredients. But you could use the compost as a whole, but link it to the element of earth and all the characteristics that the element of earth has. Christine says, I use garlic oil if I get ear infections. Once had an abscess in my ear and the garlic made it burst. Ew! And phew, that felt good as it was painful before. Now garlic is my go-to healer. That's very gross, Christine. Thank you for sharing that with us. I do love that we all share so much. What else have we got? What else have we got? I mean, I have got the real usual stuff here. Shells. I've got sunflower seeds that were grown in my garden. The actual plant is black magic. So the seeds are black. But the actual sunflower type is called black magic. And I leave some of the sunflower heads out for the birds. But I saved some of them, and with the name Black Magic, I had to, really, didn't I? But sunflower seeds are really good in magical workings as well. And if my phone doesn't stop beeping, it's going to go in the bath. So sunflower, really good for wishes, fertility, again, because it's seeds, for finding the truth, for integrity, for luck, for protection, for loyalty and happiness. There's an awful lot of magic in sunflower seeds. They have a lot of history with magical uses. It's also carries solar energy because it's a sunflower. So it carries that big punch of masculine solar energy as well. If you need to know the truth about a situation, sleep with a sunflower under your bed. I'm assuming just some of the seeds would work, because trying to, put a whole sunflower head under, it's not going to work. But use sunflower seeds and it will help you find the truth of the situation. Sunflowers in your home promote integrity. Growing sunflowers in your garden will bring you good luck and protection. Eating sunflower seeds will add to fertility. You can also add them to fertility workings. Use sunflower seeds in workings to make wishes come true. I think as well, the sunflower is such a bright, happy solar energy plant that you can use them in any kind of workings to bring about happiness. So sunflower, very, very useful. John says, I've got that book, first moon book I owned, got it as a present. It's well thumbed and marked now. Thank you. I am very, very pleased. Christine, sorry, I blame it on the full moon. Yeah, blame the full moon. It's been a doozy this week. It's given me a silly head and I don't normally sleep well, but the moment I can't wake up, yep, that full moon has been a doozy this week. Rachel, what would you use Echinacea for? I have been so drawn to it recently and bought a few new plants. Excellent. We have air Echinaceas have come up in the garden, which I'm very pleased for, because I grew them from seed year before last, and they have come up again this year. Thank you. It's always a bit of a worry when the plants, they disappear over winter and you wonder if they're ever going to come back. Echinacea obviously has healing properties, because you can take Echinacea to help boost your immune system. But from a magical point of view, I think it carries that healing power anyway. They are called cone flowers. That's their nickname. And I think just the way that they are and the way that they carry themselves and the way they look, I work with them a lot for any kind of crone magic. So if you're looking for that wisdom that the crone brings, I work with Echinacea for that. Add it to any healing spells. And I think as well, it brings quite a big boost of power. So you can add a sprinkle of it to any kind of working to increase their power. It also comes with abundance. So keep some of the dried petals in your purse or your wallet to attract abundance. So it is crone magic, power, healing, and abundance. It's ruled by Venus and Mars, and it is definitely an earth element flower, but it carries the feminine gender with it as well. So it's for me, it is the whole crone magic thing. Echinacea is very much the wise old elder for me. But brilliant, fantastic. Let us know how you get on with them, Rachel. Jane says, birds aren't silly. They eat a lot of magic. They do. They certainly do. Jane says, anything to do with sinuses, catarrh and chesty coughs. I'm assuming you are referring to the Echinacea there. Again, if you are going to take herbal remedies, please do seek professional advice before you do so. Yes, Rachel says, take tablet forms of Echinacea to ward off colds, boost the immune system. But yeah, that's the magical properties, Rachel. The real old wise woman, wise man, crone magic for me, Echinacea. Very, very much so. Very much so. What else we got? We got a few minutes. Oh, we're nearly there. I have, I have a lot now. I didn't start out with a lot. You can work magic with the basic ingredients in your kitchen. You can work magic with a blade of grass. You don't need huge, and I haven't bought a lot of this stuff. A lot of it has been foraged. A lot of it has come from my garden. Some of it is the out-of-date stuff from the kitchen. I think I've got some nutmegs, actually, that are out of date. They're up there somewhere. Yes, up there. I've got a couple of nutmegs that went out of date. Yeah. Nutmeg's really good for prosperity, actually, nutmeg. And lovely flavour. Nice on top of rice pudding. So don't waste stuff. Everything in your garden will have magical property. As well, like the garlic skins. If you want to chuck them in the compost, do. It's part of nature and it'll make you lovely compost. But there are other things as well. So I've got orange peel that I dry. I save orange pips. I save lemon pips. I save lime pips. I've got some apricot stones that I eat the fruit and save the stones. I've got cherry stones up here that I eat the fruit and I save the stones, because the stones and the pips carry the magic of the actual fruit without all the messy squidgy, because you can't put slices of fruit in your spell pouches. So I use the stones and I use the pips from them. But any citrus fruit, the skin can be dried in a low oven for quite a while, a couple of hours in a low oven, and you can then grind it up, or you can chop it up and use it in spells or incenses. You can even do that with vegetable peelings if you want. If you wanted the magic of carrot or potato and you didn't want it to go moldy, you could use the peelings and dry them in a low oven. Maria says, yes, I imagine you can save onion peel for similar uses. Absolutely. Save the skin of the onion and then you've got the magic of onion without all the squishy stuff. Eva says, what do you use apricot pits for? Just bought 1 kilo of them. Wow, that's a lot of apricots. They make nice cakes. Definitely make nice cakes. So apricots is... get to apricot. I'm going to do cherry first because Jane just mentioned cherries. And I came to that first. No shortage of cherry pips here. The pigeons, yes, eat the neighbour's cherries, then poop the pips out on our sycamore tree. We have a very small cherry tree in our garden, and I leave it all for the birds because they're just quicker than me at it. Cherries, love, fertility, divination, and new beginnings. Cherry stones. The cherry juice can also be substitute for blood in rituals or workings if you don't want to use actual blood. And that's a whole other conversation. Apricots. Apricots are peace, love, passion, and romance. You can obviously use the leaves and the fruit, and you can eat it for those properties as well. But I save the stones because it's much easier to use in spell working. You can use the juice of any of the fruits in any of spell workings as well. Dried leaves, dried flowers as well. They all bring that kind of magic with them. Tess saw that Prue Leith made orange liqueur the other night on TV, kept orange peel in a jar, added vodka and left for a few months. You then can add sugar syrup to it. She also did the vegetable peel thing. You suspect that Prue is a witch. She's a very, very talented chef, that lady. But I suspect she does draw quite a lot on folk magic. She's of that era, I think, isn't she? But yeah, definitely. Sounds yummy. I have made my own vanilla extract, actually, using vanilla pods and vodka, and it's fantastic. Very, very impressed with it. But yes, orange peel in vodka. You can add all sorts of things to vodka, can't you, to flavour it? Definitely a witch, yeah. So that's kind of it. If you've got any other questions about anything, really, do message me. Always happy to help. If you want me to talk about anything in particular, do let me know. Event this weekend, obviously, Saturday, Witchfest Midlands. Event next weekend is MoonCon. Thank you. Links have just come up in the feed there. Witchfest Midlands, you will have to buy a ticket for. Have a look at the links. MoonCon the following weekend is free and on their Facebook page. As always, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Fantastic, fantastic to be here with you, as always, on a Friday morning. Have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the weather. Hopefully it's going to be better. Have another look at your kitchen cupboards. Have another look at the ingredients that you cook with and the bits that you throw away, and see if they can be used for magical use. And thank you to all your suggestions for things that I hadn't thought of as well. Hello, Barbara. Hello, goodbye. This will be up for replay, obviously, as usual. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend, and I will catch you all later.